Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Starting this one off with a classic car moment for you all. We know how much you like them. Just waiting to pull out of Morrison's here. We have this 1992 Ford Fiesta. And of course we'll have the rear camera shot. The lighting is actually better from the other side of the car as well. I really have no words for this next clip. Just look how far forward they've stopped from the white line. The hazards weren't on, so they hadn't broken down. So I don't know what happened here. Too preoccupied maybe with a phone perhaps. You'll notice as well how the car behind has actually left quite some considerable space so they could reverse back. Alas, they didn't. We'll take a look from the rear camera now and just take a look at all that space there. I mean, that is really poor driving. I've got another one here for you classic car enthusiasts, although this one does have a bit of a twist and I'll explain why. Now what we have here is a Morgan Plus 4. Now this car in particular heralds from 2019, so it's not that old, but this is where the twist comes in. Now the original Morgan Plus 4 production ran from 1950 until 1969. It was revived again in 1985 and filled the gap until the year 2000. It was again produced from 2005 until it was replaced in 2020 by the all-new Plus 4, which was built on a bonded aluminium platform. But anyway, let's go and take a look now at this one from the rear. So, although it's not an original, this 2019 vehicle is based on the original 1950s and 1960s model, so therefore I think it does warrant an inclusion. We're just coming up to the Ashby Road in this clip, and we've got Percy Peloton here going for his personal best. And I've got one here for you classic car enthusiasts. What you see here is a 1985 Land Rover 90. And of course we have the customary rear camera shot too. In this clip we're looking at drivers that don't know what give way markings mean. Now you see these markings here, these are give way markings, which means you give way to traffic on the main road, which in this case is Ashby Road. Which also means this car here should not be where it is, it should be back there behind the give way markings until such a time that the road is clear for them to pull out. Come on then, show me pulling out there anyway. And I don't know if you noticed, but they mounted the curb there as well. I do get a flash of the hazards though to say thank you, so I suppose it's not all too bad in the end. And I've got one here as well for you classic car enthusiasts. We have this year 2000 Citroen Saxo. As you'll notice as well, they've got a P plate on there, so the driver has just recently passed the test. So good luck to them for the future. And of course, a rear camera shot too.
In many ways, he still lives on.
In this clip, we have a trainee Audi driver, a Fiat 500, that stalls when the lights turn green.
Watch where to her son's wedding. That was also because of him. Almost a third of Macmillan's.
Sorry, I couldn't resist the window shutdown effect.
Evident.
No, they nearly qualified.
And another one here for you classic vehicle enthusiasts. We have this year 2000 LDV motorhome conversion convoy. Yes, try saying that when you've had a skinful. And of course, the usual rear camera shot.
I think my daddy's right. I don't like.
And another one coming up for you classic vehicle enthusiasts. What you see here is a 1995 Rover Mini. Definitely a classic little car in my opinion, and you don't see many of these around either. And of course, the usual routine from the back. Now, I know sometimes when a lorry pulls out on you, it can be frustrating. But you've got to realise, they are a lot bigger than you, so they're going to be a lot more slower at pulling away. So, just give them a little bit of extra space and a bit of extra time. It doesn't cost much, Like this one we're going to see here. And that one there was also a European lorry, so it's going to be a left-hand drive, so it's going to be even more difficult for the driver to judge like the distance and the speed that oncoming cars are doing. A bit of patience, very doesn't hurt you, does it really? Now, I'm a bit of a geek when it comes to transport, which is a well-known fact, has been for the last 44 years, and I probably will be for another 44 years. And I do like looking at interesting loads on the back of lorries too. Now, I have no idea what that is on that trailer there, but I'm sure somebody in the comments will know. We'll flip over to the rear camera again just to have another look. It doesn't help though with the sun being directly behind us, but I can't help that.
Really, but yeah.
It's time for the Stratton Baskerville roundabout again.
Yes, that's right, we're back at that roundabout again. And we've just come off the M69 northbound, and this time we're going to be looking at a learner driver that stalls the car. But to be fair to everybody who was behind me, no one beeped or got impatient or anything, and we were soon on our way again. We got to realise is we were all in this position once. We all learnt in some shape or form, so you've got to allow for it. But we are going to stay with this car now. As you can see, we are turning onto the B4109 towards Burbage, and they make a blunder up here at the roundabout. Now, you have seen this roundabout before. It has featured a couple of times previously, but I've approached it from the opposite direction. But coming from this way, the consensus is still the same. Now, there are no markings as such, but the consensus is if anything up till 12 o'clock or straight ahead, you would use this lane. But if you're going round to the right to the housing estate, you would use this lane here. But they actually want to go straight on heading in towards Burbage and the town centre.
Panicking.
As you can see, it's school chucking out time, and we're going to be looking at one person who's too lazy to use a pedestrian crossing. So he wants to cross the road there. So this one here wants to cross the road just here. Now this can be a pretty busy road at times, but yet just here we have a pedestrian crossing, which would be a lot safer to use. Pedestrian crossing just here. And I have another one here for you classic vehicle enthusiasts. We have this 1998 Land Rover Defender that you see parked up. And just for completeness, we get one from the rear camera too. We have a corner cutter in this clip. It's just coming around the corner now. Yeah, you're supposed to get to the right hand side, mate, yeah? I mean, that is just lazy driving. Especially when you had all that space there that they could have utilised to come round the corner. I'm going to have a dig at the Great British Workforce again in this clip. Now, if you look on the right hand side, you can see road closed signs. That road is the A47. Now, the A47 was shut, but it was shut a few miles further on due to, I think it was Severn Trent doing waterworks. You know, so that part of the road could have easily have been kept open and people could have made alternative arrangements. Now, as you can see, a lorry has already been scuppered there. That truck does make a turn eventually, but it does take a while. I'll show you it from the rear camera. I mean, that is just piss poor sign placement, I think. And talking of piss poor sign placement, I've gone back a little bit earlier in the clip. Now look at this. Now this first sign here says A47 ahead closed. But if you go straight on ahead, it's actually the A447 Ashby Road. The A47 is of course off to the right hand side. And we have this one here, diversion straight ahead, which with the A47 being closed, yeah, you could use it as a suitable diversionary route. Be a bit more long-winded, but it is doable. But we have this one here. Now this one is the creme de la month, as Dalboy would say. If you watch Only Fools and Horses, then you know. If you know, you know. And it's sending traffic down the road that is actually shut. The good old British workforce. Yep, you gotta love them. Now I'll just show you that lorry from behind that we saw in the previous clip. Now he does actually get around that corner eventually, so good on him. You know, but again, you know, the sign placement along there could have been better in my opinion. We're sticking with the rear camera now, as you can tell. We're looking at the white car that's behind us. Now, the driver, it just screams that they're on the phone, because as we get before we pull away, you can see the head goes down to the left hand side, and you can see their lips moving. So they're obviously on the phone of some sort talking. Now I pull away and leave quite a good gap, and they've still got the head down, only to look up a second or two later. Now I know that if they've got a phone, it's in a holder, which I know isn't as bad as like holding it with your hands, but you know, it still does take your concentration away from driving.
Take me back to Pothole City, where the rims get bent and the roads are shitty. Oh, won't you please take me home?
Now, we've all heard of Meteor Crater, haven't we, in Arizona in the United States? Well, there's a scale model of it right here in Warwickshire. I mean, that there is just absolutely ridiculous. You know, if not so much for I mean, yeah, it would do some damage to a car if you went over that. But if a cyclist or a motorcyclist didn't see it until the last second and they went into it, then there's no telling what would happen. It has been reported as well, so we'll wait and see if anything gets done about it. But anyway, that's enough of me going on for now. If you made it this far, thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you all in the next one. Take care, bye for now, and above all, as always, be safe out there.